Hi, my name is Gabrielle del Puente. I'm joined today by
Danielle Brathwaite-Shirley.
Fabulous. And just an introduction in case you're not familiar with our work. So I am a writer. I write art criticism and mostly nowadays I write game criticism for a website called The White Pube. And Danielle, what do you do?
I mostly archive black trans people using interactive art and games, essentially, as the inspiration and the format of which the archive exists in.
Fab. So we are going to have a chat today about sort of both sides of the work that we do, the art side, the game side, and we're going to do that while we play some Apex Legends together. Um, we had a little run through last
Oh
week,
Lord.
so we'll see how this goes. We'll see how it goes. I'm on a burner account today so that we can go in some lower level lobbies and not just get like immediately obliterated by people with guns. We're gonna play duos. Apex Legends is a online multiplayer battle royale, sort of like Fortnite for adults is how I see it. Also,
Yeah.
a bit like Warzone, but with color.
Yeah, it's a bit more
you know
fun.
these references.
It's like fun. It's a bit more like the color schemes are much more like light-hearted fantasy, but it's a lot less like here. It's just it's not like a child game. It's like mixing those two completely together, like you said.
Yeah, mixing them together and then maybe like a little bit of Overwatch on top in the sense that there are 18 characters at the moment that players can choose from, and each of them come with their own abilities, their own ultimate abilities, like basically superpowers, and it means that the fights that you have in the game can be like really kind of, don't know, really dramatic, really diverse, really fictional and fantastical. So we're going to play a little bit of it today. We're not necessarily going to run straight for a fight because we do have to do this little chat and talk about art and games and be professional.
Right.
But we'll make it work. We might just go for a walk because the maps in this game are really good as well.
Yeah, we're gonna go for a walk and kind of pretend the world is ending, and then see how it ends for us each round.
And then just do it again and again. Like we'll just load up, ready up, go back into the game, pick up the chat, and see what happens. Cute.
All right, where should we drop?
Fab. I think we should drop maybe around here. So we'll just have a little flight, and as we drop, I'm going to ask you the first question, which is, what's your history with gaming? Where did it start? What was the first game you ever remember playing? You know, and it might not necessarily be a video game, but, you know, just your relationship with gaming in general. Where did that come from?
Yeah, so I guess the first games that I was introduced to were actually on the Sega Genesis. My dad used to own one of these old Sega Genesis, and I didn't really understand what it was. It just, to me, it looked like a big piece of plastic. And he introduced me to games such as Road Rash and I think it was called Cannon Fodder. Where are you? Gosh, my computer's going wild. And Sonic. And so, like, for me, it was like I think it's called like 16-bit generation game engines were something that I was really interested in. And when he cracked out his PlayStation, and I think the first game I played on PlayStation was Spider-Man, that kind of blew my mind. And it was the first time I really felt terrified to do anything in a game. Like, I never had experienced something that made you scared to make the wrong decision and like live with the repercussions of what that means. What about you?
So mine wasn't through like mum or dad, but through cousins. So all of my older cousins, every week we'd like all go down to my nan's house, and they were always playing like wrestling games, Grand Theft Auto, and then we started to get into things like Mario Party, like really good, solid family games, like
Right.
we'd all just play together. So I think I was like completely following their lead and understanding games like as something that family did together first and foremost. Like for me it was like a family thing before it was ever something that you went away and did on your own in like your spare time.
Right, yeah. So it's more like
similar for you as well. Like it was like a family oriented thing.
Right. And when did you like start playing a game by yourself? Like when did that start happening?
That's a good question. I think it was when I learnt what Pokemon was. I again another cousin situation, but I remember going to one of my older cousins who was like sort of closer in age, and he just got the new Game Boy Color. So for him, he was like not that bothered about, you know, the original Game Boy that was like in that like weird dark greeny color. I don't know how to describe what that color even is. You know, like the colorless Game Boy screen.
What yeah. Oh God, it was like monochrome green. It was
like really kind of flat, but whatever it was. But with that original Game Boy, he just wasn't fussed anymore, and he said I could have it. And he was playing the newer Pokemon games, so he would give me the older Pokemon games because he just wasn't fussed anymore. And I was obsessed. I was like, I have this really vivid memory of me walking around Tesco with my mom and just like head down watching the TV, like watching the Game Boy screen, and just kind of following her in my periphery, like because I was so involved in the game that I just didn't care about being in Tesco. Like I was being dragged there against my will. Like I just wanted to play this game. Nothing else mattered. And
oh my God.
I was obsessed. So I think it was Pokemon. What about you?
Oh, so the first console we got was a Game Boy Color as well. What did we get? I think I got a Spider-Man on it, but I got this game called Perfect Dark, which is like, so the N64 one is really famous for like being an amazing game, but the Game Boy Color one had like a rumble pack on top of it, like as part of the cartridge, and so you had to put like a battery in it, and then it rumbled when you shot. And it was the first time
sort of like special effects almost.
Yeah,
like
it was first. Yeah, so it's like I was like playing a Game Boy game where it's like it looks like a top-down pixelated game, and then it would rumble when I would play it, and for me that was like amazing because no other game had done that, and it was something that was like completely wild in my head, and I got kind of hooked on it because it was so difficult. It was a bit like Metal Gear Solid, but for a Game Boy Color. And it was violent. And I think I played that to death. And it took me maybe like 2 years to complete it. Like some ridiculous amount of time.
That's what you can do when you're a kid. You can spend like 2 years playing a game to death.
Exactly.
Even you do every single thing in the game, and you exhaust its possibilities.
Literally. And you like know its ins and outs and like the tricks, and you almost kind of can speed run it a little bit.
Yeah, because you know it better than anyone.
And that's something I really love about like today, is that like speed running is like a huge thing that's popped off. And people are so upset. Anyone doesn't know what speed running is. It's just going through a game as fast as possible, and usually it means using glitches to kind of break the boundaries of what should be possible. And when I was younger, I remember doing that with certain games. Like I had this Spider-Man game, I would just run through Blitzer as fast as I could because I played it every day, all the time. And I had Doom on Game Boy Color and Game Boy Advance. And gosh, I played that until my eyes were like dry at night.
Speedrunning's amazing. It's something like I didn't understand for so long. But it is a culture in and of itself, and I think from what I understand, it can be like a real compliment to the people who have made the game, because they've built something that players care about so much, that they've spent all this time and effort to figure out like how to play the game in the fastest, most like fluid way.
Literally.
And do you know what it is? I mean, it is that sort of conversation and that love between like a player and the game that I just never see in the art world. Like, when do you ever see like someone trying to do whatever an equivalent speedrun kind of relationship would be with like a painting or an artist's film, or like when does the art audience ever have the kind of fan relationship that a gamer would have?
Right.
And why is that?
Yeah, like something I love about like games, and I really wish that there was in art, is like a level of like allowed commitment. And like,
What do you mean?
like sometimes these games like they really let you sink your time and energy into them, and they want you to come back, and they want you to revisit them and revisit the lands and revisit the landscapes they've built. And I think often within an art institution, like they limit that kind of relationship. So something about games that I like is that like you can't get them straight away. Like you have to kind of learn to enjoy them and learn what their like nooks and crannies are. Like games aren't always immediately gratifying, and they don't always immediately let you consume it. And I feel like that's not something that has come into art as much as that. Sometimes you have to like, look at a picture and it gives you, it takes you time to understand what you're seeing. But there's never the same level of like working to understand, like actually having to physically work and flex your brain in order to try and get deeper into what this piece of work has to offer.
So that's kind of interesting. So it's almost like the art audience is too literate, and therefore they're not going any deeper. Like that's fine. They don't need to dig any deeper. They understand it. And do you think like almost that kind of literacy can get in the way of engagement?
Well, I also don't think it's just the art audience. I think it's like the history of like how people have consumed art and how people are expecting and wanting a passive experience when they're looking at art sometimes. And so that the work required to understand the art, or the commitment, is often quite low, because they're expecting that they should come and see something and then the idea should passively wash over them, and they don't have to actually put any effort into cracking the code, for example. And I feel like that's like not every exhibition's straightforward, but I don't feel like they offer the same thing, for example, that the Five Nights at Freddy offers, in terms of like the underground story of everything and having to actually break the game to find out what's actually going on and what the other kind of story there is.
So yeah. So it's not necessarily like a question of quality, but form and like how much of like almost like a cult following a game can attract in a way that
Right.
a single exhibition might never be able to achieve. I think there's something as well with that in that like all of this, it's also almost not always helpful to compare the two, like art and games, because sometimes you only ever see a painting once, whereas
Right.
a game can be loaded up at any hour of the day. And I mean, some games disappear into history, but mostly they are available, and it's not determined by like gallery visiting hours or anything like that, which
Right.
must be something that you think about as an archivist.
Yeah, like I think about this like access thing a lot. I often think about, why can I play a game at home, but I can't often see the same art piece at home, and why hasn't that happened yet, when art is supposed to be all about consumerism and seeing the work. Like, why hasn't digital art come to the point where accessing at home is the work itself? and then seeing in the gallery is a different version of the work, but both have their own merits. And that's something I'm really trying to think about bridging, is like how can we make the computer screen moment an actual artistic journey? Like the same way you would walk through a show, like how can we make something on the web at home the same kind of journey? That's really like what I'm trying to get towards.
And do you feel like you're there yet with your work, or as you said, like, is it still something you're working towards?
Oh, no way. I would never give myself the credit like that. No way. I would say...
No, that's for, like, critics to give you.
I would say I'm very far off that. But knowing that I don't want to make passive work anymore is a good place to start, basically. And then I can start figuring out, okay, what does it mean to be passive, and how can I avoid that? Like, if I don't want anybody to ever just to be able to watch the show, how can I stop that happening?
Okay. Do you want to be more selective about who experiences your work? Or is it about how they experience the work that you want to, like, be able to choreograph that a little bit?
Yeah, like I say this often all the time now. Like, the audience is my medium. Like, I'm trying to manipulate how the audience moves within the space. And thank you. And for me, it's not so much about like, I always make the work for Black trans people, but I want, whenever someone comes into the work, I want their body to know that they've changed something, and to know that even them being in the space will change how the work responds to them. And that's why I say I don't think I'm there yet, because I think I need to get to a point where not only is the work archiving people in the present that I'm working with, but also archives how people are treating it, and then responds how it needs to. Like an AI piece, almost like the work itself has a personality and then can respond depending on how it feels.
That sounds amazing. How are you going to get to that point?
God knows.
But like, so just because I know, an artist might be listening to this who is at the beginning of their career, like, as an artist, how do you figure out how to get to that point? Like, what research do you do? What thinking? What work? What's the actual work of an artist to solve that problem?
So for me, it's a lot of like testing. So I was having a chat with my friend actually, and they were asking me how I research, and they say they don't understand how I do it. And I told them that most of my like sketchbooks are tiny games that I get people to test, and no one will ever see these games, never see the light of day. But they're just there to test like people's reactions and say like, okay, this person took a long time to press this button. This person felt very uncomfortable when this choice popped up. This didn't work. This story is too in your face, so they weren't thinking about themselves. Like things like this, I just have loads of little games to test. So for every single work that I make, there's probably like 3 or 4 tiny little games that have been made just to look at how people react to it. And so I can start catering exactly how the response I want to see, or what I liked from those little games starts cropping up within this bigger game, or the bigger work, the main work.
And do you use things like Itch for that?
No, so it's all kind of internal. Like all of it's just like I don't pick an audience when I do this. I just pick anyone. So usually, it's super important for me that like they're not all artists and they're not all gamers, and often the case they're like literally they hardly know me, and that's the best because they're really honest.
I was gonna say that because I mean the problem a lot of artists experience is like, they maybe work from home, they don't even get to work in a studio, and it means that the people that see their work are the family and friends, and they're complicit, right. And their access to like criticism isn't what they want it to be.
Right.
But it's kind of like, it's really commendable, I think, that you've sought that out.
Yeah, like I love really hard criticism. It's something that I really enjoy. Is that like when someone completely rips me apart? Oh God. When someone rips me apart, it's like something I really enjoy. Did you kill them?
I killed one of them.
I got shot.
It's
No.
okay, it's okay, it's okay.
No! Stay away from me! Sorry.
Got them.
What? Look at that teamwork. Look at that teamwork. Like, that
So
was
now
great.
you get the pleasure of going through their boxes and robbing their loot.
This is the first time I've ever done this. I'm so happy.
Exactly.
Give me this Evo shield. Give me this frag grenade. Shield battery.
Get everything. Rob it.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I was gonna say, very commendable that you, yes, seek out like real, what I count as real criticism, because it's hard. It's really hard for people.
Yeah, like something I've noticed is that so I'm a very honest criticism person, and whenever someone asks me like, oh, how do you feel about this work, I'll tell them like the very, very honest opinion, because I think if I care about you, I want you to hear the honest opinion rather than pat you on the back, because I've already patted on the back. We're already friends.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so I want you to be like, this needs to be better, or I don't get this. You need to hear those rather than me giving you a big hug. And
Definitely.
Something that I feel like we need to do more often. I think because we spend so much time on our art and it's so personal, we are so attached to it, And so when anyone says anything about it, we get hurt. But the whole point is this for me? Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
The whole point is that
you
like,
need to heal her.
Oh, I need to heal. Oh.
Yeah, because that is like such a generous, supportive thing, and like, do you not want your friends to do better? Do you not want everyone to just like expand what they do and improve their art, and like, I think criticism is a very generous act.
Yeah, and I feel like I've learned the most when people when people say this doesn't work, and I didn't feel held or I felt uncomfortable. Like that's where I learned the most about what my work is doing, because I'm learning like, is that what I want in that moment, or is that wrong? Because sometimes when someone says a negative thing, that's the correct feeling, and you're like, yes, you were meant to feel like you hated this. You were meant to feel that. But if it's not, or if you don't know, for me, those are the best moments, because you say, I wasn't even thinking about you at this moment, and should I be? And then how can I change it, or how can I at least give it my consideration to make the work better? At least that's my nerdy ass opinion. But I wanted to ask you a question.
Yeah, go for it.
So what's the first game that made you feel an emotional connection to like an action that you did?
An action in what context?
In terms of like, for example, I'll just give my example. When I played Metal Gear Solid 2, I think I had played maybe 10, 20 hours of the game and I hadn't killed a single person. And then I shot someone. I don't know why. I was probably like, I'm dying to shoot someone. And I shot someone and I killed them. And that was the first time in my life I felt bad for killing someone, because I didn't have to. There was no reason I had to. There was no need. They posed no threat to me. They didn't even know I was there. And I put down the controller and I stopped playing the game.
Ooh.
And I'm wondering if you ever had like a moment like that yourself.
So that is sort of why Death Stranding is my favourite game. I don't know how familiar you are with it, and I'll describe it for the sake of the audience anyway, but like, so Death Stranding is a game by Hideo Kojima, who is renowned in the game world for Metal Gear Solid, and he released this game that starred like really famous actors and actresses: Norman Reedus, Mads Mikkelsen, Lea Seydoux, Tommy L. Jenkins. Really, really powerful cast. But essentially, all that you do in the game is like you deliver things. You're like a postman.
And it's hard to walk.
It's hard to walk. Walking's not easy. You've got like 9 million packages on your back and you fall over sometimes, and like that's not nice. This is really, really intense game. But in the world that he has created for that mechanism of like being a postman, you're in like a dystopian America, and when this thing has happened, it's called the Death Stranding, and it essentially means that like when these spirits can feel that death is near, they can cause like huge blackouts, like huge craters to appear on the earth, and it's like a nuclear bomb. So when people are about to die, they have to be like disposed of in a really, really careful way, because otherwise like the world could end. And it's like a mechanism, and it's like a piece of fiction in the game itself that means that you can't kill people, because if you kill people, if you shoot people, even if you do it by accident, the whole world could end. And that is so like opposite of like even, you know, the game that we're playing now. Like we're playing this game where we're trying to kill everyone. And I'm like used to playing games where that's what you do. You try to kill people. So to play a game where it's the opposite, like you really have to try and avoid that, was like incredible to me.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And I killed someone by accident, and I felt so bad. And the way that I did it made it even worse, because I got this type of gun. I'd unlocked this new type of gun, and I thought it meant that I could like stun people and they would like fall to the ground, not that I would kill them. So I went into like a camp of people that had like stole some things from me, and I needed to get it back. And I used that gun on them thinking that I would just stun them. And I killed like 6 people. And I was mortified, because like not only had I killed people by accident, but I was about to make the world end. And I just couldn't cope with it. And I like paused the game, and I was like Googling frantically, like what can I do to like take this back? Because I didn't mean it to happen. Do I need to like reload an earlier save to pretend this like never happened? Like I was like really trying to like bury the bodies. I was like, what do I need to do? I felt awful. And in the end, like I reloaded a save, because I couldn't bear that there was this this version where I'd done things wrong. I was so sad. So yeah, that's my equivalent. Even it's just still hate to think about it to this day. Hate it.
It's amazing that like both of our games are Hideo Kojima games. Oh.
Yeah, it's similar problem. Oh, I think there's someone on us.
Jesus.
Oh
no, so close. We did so
good.
well. We did so
She was good.
well. She looked amazing as well.
She's like this cool robot lady. Okay, I'll see you back in the lobby for take 3.
That was so fun.
Did you like playing the character that can scan people?
Yeah, I didn't really know what I was doing, to be honest, but...
Bloodhound, Apex's famous non-binary tracker recon character.
With a non-binary?
Yeah.
Covered in everything. I mean, how do you gender someone that literally doesn't have a piece of skin showing?
Exactly. It's great.
I do like this game. I like the character design a lot. But it is really amazing that like both of us have had similar experiences by the same director, which is Hideo Kojima, and he has just this way of, like, since his first games, just completely breaking the fourth wall and being like, this is not your actions aren't a game. Like, your actions, you should feel something because it represents you and who you are. And I don't know how he captures that, but it's something so amazing that he does that, like, stops the game just from being a fun thing you play through and something that actually stays with you forever.
I think it's really subversive, but it also is like such a risk, I think, for him, because, you know, the majority, arguably, of players do just want to cause mayhem and have like that straightforward gaming experience. So like Death Stranding really, really divided players, I think. Not just for the walking aspect of it, like people just slamming it as a walking simulator as if that's like the worst a game genre ever to exist. But because of these other actions, like you can't just run into a fight, like you have to really consider the consequences. Do you find then that like though that thoughtfulness has shaped how you make games?
Yeah, like his something about his measured approach for me, he is someone that like revels in showing every attention to detail in order to get you to really like feel something towards these characters. So instead of just like you just teleport across the map, he wants you to take every step along the journey. And so by the time you're at the end of that game, you've taken all the steps. So you know what they've been through because you were frustrated while doing it. And that's something that he does. Like, he makes you take those actual journeys and put in the work to earn something back, to earn even the boss fight. He'll make you have to earn the journey to the boss fight and then regret your decision when you die, and then you've now affected the world. And that's something that I really love about his kind of approach to game design, is that it's all about earning, and rather than just being given something.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And again, just to like bring it back to art stuff, like when do you even get challenged on that kind of stuff on entering the exhibition space? Like, it's why I think with your games it can feel subversive in a similar way, because I've seen a few of your games where like the very first screen is like, who are you? Because depending on who you are, I'm gonna give you something different.
Right.
Like that, just that stop, that pause is something that I think, when we were talking about like the immediacy of like visual literacy earlier in this conversation, like people feel like they can just shortcut to an experience in a gallery, and I like that you're slowing it down.
Yeah, like something I love about games is like the hard choices you make. So for me, things that I loved about games when I was younger was like character customization screens, and how long I would spend on that, because they were forever. They'd be stuck with those decisions. And something that I love about certain games is that like if you have to make the players stay with their decision, they have to pause and think about how they're reflected in the game. And though that's usually my approach to like game design, it's that like I want every decision to be a pause moment, and is this the right decision? Does this reflect well on me? And how will this affect everyone else from here and out? So like the show at arebyte, which is like based on House of the Dead, is instead of shooting everyone, you have no idea who you're supposed to shoot, and you have to shoot someone to protect Black trans people, but everyone to you looks like they could be an enemy, and that's the whole point. It's like it's saying like you having a weapon doesn't instantly make you helpful to someone, and in fact can make you a danger because your decision making is already wrong from the beginning.
Yeah, you're saying as soon as you've got the weapon, you can't win.
Yeah, exactly. Like these weapons can be used against those that you're protecting as quickly as it can be used against those that you are seeing as the enemy, for example.
Yeah.
Let's jump in this.
I was going to say, do you want to ready up? Do you think have you spoken to anyone who's played the game, been to the exhibition, who's felt that conflict?
Yeah, yeah. So when we were testing it, it was so funny because we'd get the same. I knew because it was a really strange one. I hated the game when I was building it for a really long time. I really hated it. I found it extremely difficult to make, but I knew I had something when people were testing it and they said I didn't know what to shoot, so I couldn't shoot anything. But at the same time, I knew I had to shoot something, and so I shot one thing, and I regretted the decision for the entire rest of the game. And then they fail, and I was like, perfect. Okay, then I do have something, and I can seed who you should shoot and when you should shoot throughout the rest of the exhibition, so that you have to kind of learn and understand the exhibition and fail within one part to then unlock the key to understanding other parts of it.
Yeah. So it really comes through for people. It's making me jealous because I can't go to this exhibition. I'm in Liverpool. You need to send me a build so I can play.
I'll send you a build. And I'll send you a build, and then I'll send you a Wii remote, and then you can shoot your computer screen.
Is there a Wii remote?
Yeah. So the technology is all based on a Wii remote. So we built this gun, but it's all based around this Wii remote.
I'm obsessed.
So I can send you it, and I'll let you know how to set it up, and then you can play it.
So one question I also had, because I mean, I'm familiar with your work, but I'm not necessarily that familiar with like you or like your background. What is your history like with art? Like, did you always want to create things? Were you always like a creative person, or how did that happen? What did you study? Did you study anything, or did you just come to it naturally?
So when I was younger, I was going to be a physicist.
A physicist? Is it like...
Yeah.
What?
And so I was going to drop art. And I had applied to do physics, and I got into a school, I think it was Surrey University.
So physicist as in like physics, the science?
Yeah, I wanted to be a theoretical
This is
physicist.
already a great answer. This is what I wanted.
And so like I studied astronomy on Saturdays after school, and like I would do all these extra curriculum, and for free. It was really great, and it was at the Greenwich Auditorium. It was really amazing, and so I was obsessed with like space and maths. I did my maths A-level early because I was obsessed with it.
Wow.
And then so I got into a physics school. It was Surrey. It wasn't the best, but it was good enough, and I was excited to do physics. And then my partner at the time said, "Can you go with me to an open day at Kingston University for the foundation?" And so I went with them, and I said, "Oh, this is really interesting. I didn't know you could do a foundation in art for free, and just defer your university." So I deferred my place, and I applied for Kingston Foundation. And I ended up getting in. And so I was like, okay, this is great. And then when I was doing art then, the art was terrible. No.
What was it?
lies.
Please tell me. Even if it's like embarrassing, just you've got to tell me.
Okay, so it was always kind of interactive, but it would be like, I used to build shrines and made people like pray to my shrine, but it was like the shrine of devilness or something. So you'd have to pray to like devilness, and I used to make leaning sculptures and all sorts of rubbish. And then
it sounds like an art student. It sounds like exactly what I was like. It's like what I want to hear.
Literally, it was just like ridiculous. I had for some reason I didn't have much anxiety back then, so I would do like weird stuff all the time.
Yeah.
And then everyone was applying to universities to go to art school, and I was kind of jealous. I was like, "Oh, I want to go to art school. I want to go to an art university. Why not? Why don't I apply?" And so I exited my place at Surrey, and I just applied for art uni. And I didn't know anything about them. I hadn't researched any of them. I didn't look at anything to do with any of them, how hard they would get into. I knew nothing about any of universities. And
you just went off vibes. This is crazy.
yeah, I just was like, because like people were applying to the Slade, and I didn't know anything about the Slade. I knew it was part of
Yeah.
GCR, but I didn't even know it existed. And I was told I wouldn't get in actually by my teacher.
Wow.
And so I went in and I made the tutor pray to, I think it was David Burrows, pray to my sculpture. I showed them my terrible videos, and for whatever reason, and I think it's because I'm quite good in person. When if you meet me in person, I'm very like I get a lot of ideas quick.
Yeah.
And so like I'm very much like pushing ideas all the time. And for some reason they liked it and let me in.
Wow. This is such a shift though. Did you like defer the physics place, or did you just like full on cancel it?
So I had deferred it and then I cancelled it because I had to cancel it to
Wow.
apply to these art unis. Like there wasn't a choice. Because I did apply to one arts uni and I couldn't apply, but my application was dismissed because I already had a place, and that's when I cancelled it.
I get you. Yeah.
And then and I started studying art, and I think for my first year I made posters and digital drawings, just on the computer. And then the second year I taught myself 3D animation on Blender, and I did it every day as a diary to kind of learn it, but also to keep a diary of, because I was transitioning at the time and I didn't understand didn't even know what trans was at the time. So I was keeping a diary to try and understand everything. But in 3D, and that diary became my first game.
Have you still got the diary?
Do you know what? I found it yesterday.
As if...
I did. It was so crazy. I was like looking just through the work, and then I saw it. I think it's called like, the work is called Resurrection Lands, but I called the diary that in the end as well. And I found the original. It's not the work online. It's a terrible version. And I was so gagged. So yes, I have it. Oh, I can't wait.
Wow. You're going to have to do something. You have to do something with it. Ooh.
It is awful though. Oh shit.
No. We'll survive, don't worry.
Oh no.
And then you just went from there. It sounds like you should heal. Don't forget.
Okay.
I can see them. They're like down. If you got enough heals.
Let's go.
Okay, let's go. Slide down the hill. It'll be faster. Whee.
Okay, I need to heal.
Where have you gone? Okay. There we go. You've got heals. You've got heals. You'll be fine.
I know. Ah!
What just happened? Why did it break?
Maybe someone shot
I'll drop a med kit.
How do I use it?
So you go on to... There we go. You're doing it.
Oh my god, would I have enough time?
I don't know! 1 sec, I'll heal you. We'll get to it. We'll figure it out.
Wow. This is
now
the
put it on
apocalypse.
straight away. Okay. It'll be okay. Fingers crossed you've done it in enough time.
Well, let's go.
Yeah, run! Come this way.
Oh my god.
We'll do
Holster
it. It's
weapons.
fine. It's the first ring. Holster weapons. Go faster. So, what was your... You started to work within 3D work. You were figuring it out, and then... What did you do for like your degree show? Like how did it start to develop?
Right, so the first thing I modeled was like a hot bottle, a hot pepper bottle, and then I modeled some braids, and then I made like my first 3D animation called Blackzilla, which was about this robot that came down from space that only supported Black trans life.
I've just been shot.
No way.
Oh my god, I actually got such a fright then. I think they're over there. You should heal. Oh, shoot them. Live your life.
There's no way I'm making this out.
be okay.
Oh, God.
If you come... Oh, no. They're coming closer. They're coming closer. They're coming closer. Fight them. Fight them for me. Save me.
I did, by dying. What were we talking about? I don't remember what we were talking about at all.
How did you talk about a hot pepper
Oh,
bottle?
yeah. So I modded a hot pepper bottle, and then I made my first like animation film. I was like, let me go try this. And I made this film called Blackzilla about this robot that comes down from space. It comes back to Earth from space. And it only supports black trans life. So everyone else has to kind of perish. But it doesn't really focus on that. It just focuses on people that can breathe now. It's a really weird animation. It's got like a mix of green screening. At the time, I was very into green screenings. Green screening my friends and black trans people I was meeting, because I was meeting the community and in being introduced to words like black and trans and identifying yourself. And then, so they were being archived in it, and so it kind of became a diary of that particular moment. And then from that, I kind of made my show, and after another bunch, digging for black trans lives. So it was about this, how I'd looked in the archive and didn't find any black trans people, so I made up this story about scanning the earth and bringing back the memories of them and talking to black trans people. And it was like an animation alongside with this costume that I could wear, and I performed this 40-minute kind of animation performance in which I would like interact with the screen, have a boss fight with the screen, and kind of just go all over the place. And it was at that point I realized that I didn't want to make work like this anymore, because the audience was so passive, and even though within the performance they had to bury the figure, that to me was the best bit, where the audience became the work. So there was a moment where I made everyone else put on a glove and bury this figure. And that was the best bit, because everyone stood up after that, and no one could say anything, and no one would leave, because they were part of something and they felt responsible for something.
Yeah.
And after that, I said, I'm making games and I'm not making any passive work anymore, because that was the best moment of art I had ever made at that point. Just that little 10 minutes of that performance. And I said, nothing else in my work is doing that, and everything has to do that.
That's very interesting. And because, by default, in order to make a game happen, the player has to do it. So that's sorted now. That's you've solved that problem just by shifting from art to games.
Yeah, I made it like the audience's issue with how much they get out of the work now. Often people are like, oh, I didn't see that, and I'm like, well, what choice did you make? And they're like, yeah, did I make the wrong? And they often ask me like, oh, I think I made the wrong decision. And I never say if there's a right or wrong, but to me, I'm like, great, I love that you left an artwork and thought you made the wrong decision, or about how you were supposed to take it in. That's so interesting.
Ready up, and we'll carry on with our adventures. I was going to say, do you think a part of, making it the audience's issue, and feeling better about that decision from shifting from in-person live art performance to a game, does it make you feel better as the maker in that situation to not see the person interacting with it as well? If someone's playing your game on a web browser at home, you're not in the gallery with them seeing the passivity or the opposite of that. And I just ask that because I know sometimes artists will be at their exhibition openings and they'll feel really uncomfortable about how people do or don't interact with the work. Do you think that's softer as a game designer?
So for me, I feel like the audience is performing when they're playing the game. And I feel like that for a bunch of reasons, but sometimes I feel like they're even having to perform their own identity or their own sense of righteousness You know, they're thinking, oh, what is the right decision to make at this point, rather than like, what actual decision do I feel in my heart? Sometimes, you know, in video games, you're like, oh, if I'm thinking morally and my moral compass is turned on, what would be the good thing to do, you know? And I feel like when people are at home, they can maybe be a bit more honest, but also that performance is happening for them. So they're kind of viewing the response of, oh, I've got to get down, God. They're viewing the response of the performance that they're making. And it's for themselves, you know? And then I'm hoping, and this is just a hope because I don't know if it happens, that when they finish, they kind of sit with themselves and say, if I do that again, can I do better, you know? Or what did I miss, or because of who I am?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I don't really like watching people in the gallery play the game.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I don't think any artists like that.
Yeah. Like, I don't even like most of the things I make, to be honest.
Why?
I don't know, like, I don't have a... Because for me, I'm always thinking, like, I didn't have this person in there, or I wish I could have...
Sorry.
You know.
Yeah, there's people... I'm getting murdered.
Already?
I'm murdered in the building. There's 2 people in there, like, being really quiet. Maybe just... Don't go in. I think just...
Ah!
Oh, no. Never mind. Oh, no. You can do it. You can do it. You can do it.
Destroyed. Destroyed.
Oh my god.
Wow.
We tried.
You were like silently dead instantly. Yeah, like why can't I ready up? Oh well. No, I can.
Now?
Yeah, no, I can. Yeah, like so to me, I just feel like it just depends on who's... I think most of the time it depends on who's playing it. If I'm playing it, I'm not going to like it at all. Because I'm building it for a certain set of community, so I need to know I've done a good job.
Big responsibility. Yeah,
so like there was one point I enjoyed. So I the work I do like is we're here because of those that are not.
Yeah.
Because the response I got from someone was, I was waiting for a traumatic moment to happen and it never did. And I was like, okay, great. That means that work works. That means that work did a good thing, you know?
Yeah.
And I feel like I don't have to get like compliments of the work. I don't get happy about compliments of the work, but I do get happy when people I've made it with or made it for say that it's done something that I didn't expect it to do. For example, maybe if they're like, oh, I've never... How do we get there?
We just let the ship fly, and then
Okay.
I'll tell you when to... When we're sort of closer, then you can go.
Okay, cool. So yeah, like usually people tell me like, oh, your work did this. And if they're Black and trans and it's someone that I've really wanted to archive and make sure that I've done the right thing, that's when I'm like, oh, I like this. I'm really happy that this work has done that. But most of the time, like compliments about the work or the graphics or anything, they just don't. Oh, okay, cool. They don't do anything
Just
to me.
Do it for you. Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm not looking for that. Like I'm looking to make sure that I've done the right job and archive someone correctly, rather than have I made a good art piece.
This is very, very interesting to me because I think, I don't know, it's like, yeah, as you're speaking, I can sort of feel like the weight of the responsibility you feel like you have, because most of the time when I speak to artists, I give them tutorials, teaching students, like I am often coming to them from a place of like, do you enjoy the thing that you're making right now? Because if you're not, maybe you should change.
Right.
But it sounds like, you know, that kind of, like enjoyability isn't as important for you because you feel like you have a service. you're trying to fulfill a service, and you not a service but like a duty to people.
Yeah,
It's cool.
like the way we kind of do it is that like I'm trying to do a good job, you know, like because the way usually that the products are made is like I don't make them alone. And people tell me I want to be archived in this way. I want to be represented like this. I need you to design me a character like that. And so I have a design document that they've told me about, and they've asked me to make for them and alongside them. And so I have something to go by as a Bible.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
so
yeah.
for me, often it's like very difficult to do that because you don't know if you're doing exactly what they want all the time. But so it's not fun necessarily all the time, but you have someone that says if you've done a good enough job for them, you know, because you're trying to represent them, not yourself. And that's what makes the work like really fulfilling, is that like I have the team members that we reconvene and I say, did I archive you correctly? And they say yes. Then I'm like, that's whatever the art piece is now, I did my job and I'm really happy that I did this.
It worked. Yeah. You fulfilled the duty, and you've got that confirmation from the person who was like, the subject of almost like a portrait. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That's a good way of thinking about it, actually. That's a really nice way of thinking about it. Like those portraits that you get done of yourself. Exactly like that. Yeah.
Well, it's something I've been thinking about because I played a game last year called No Longer Home, and it's about two people who live in London. It's like a completely sort of non-fictional game. It's point and click. Lasts about 2 hours, I think, and it is just about the fact that they're about to leave the student home that they've been living in, and what that means. You know, like what's their life going to be like after art school when they, you know, have to get jobs, and what will that be like? And one of them is about to move back to Japan because their visa is up, and it's just like a very sort of nervous time for them.
Right.
And because it's completely non-fictional, it's made by the two people in the game, I started to think, you know, those non-fictional games are like a memory box. Like it's like a really interesting way to record you know, either a person or a moment or just something that will mean so much like in time. So it might not necessarily be that game has like fulfilled its destiny right now, and that might be the same for what you do as well, because you're working with archives, and is an archive the same if you look at it the same year it's been made, or what about in 10 years? Like in 10 years, will it really will its value come into play? And I wonder that about your work as well. Yeah, so like it's an impossible question because we have to just wait and see, like, how will it feel to look back and play the work, whether it's you, whether it's like an audience member, or whether it's like the subject of those portraits in 50 years.
Oh my
God. It's gonna be so interesting. God,
I hope so. Something that I really want to do is, because I'm a nerd, and where did you go? Oh, you're up there.
I'm coming down now.
I think of like artworks like video games so often that I even think of the way that video games remaster themselves. I think that is a really interesting way to approach art and these amazing. Archives. Yeah. And I really want to create a remaster of each of the works every like 10 years or something. And so you redo remaster everything.
In like the form or like the content. Would you like re-speak to people that were involved, like
yes.
people that you were archiving? Would you do all of it?
Yes. So like redo everything. So like, you know, change if they names were changed, I would like redo the models, so how they're represented now, how they felt now, what they're doing. Like, you know, I'm sure that by then like I would have a very different way of working. Do it a completely different way, and just like redo the game but to that presence. And so we have now the older one and the newer one.
It's a very it's a way that I wish more artists would work, because there is like a there's like a flexibility or like an elasticity with games. Like, you know, they'll release like this, you know, like Death Stranding, multi-million pound production, that a game that was made over like 5-6 years or whatever it was, and then
Right.
there'll be updates again and again as things are swapped in and out and changed and developed. And I always wonder, like, when a painter does a painting, do they ever want to like go back a few years later and change it, or do they feel like they're not allowed to, because generally in the arts we make things and then we commit and then we never change them. And,
Right,
and
yeah.
do people wish they could change it? But what I was thinking of then when you were speaking is, like, of course you should remaster the games, and of course you should like take into consideration like how people have changed, like whether it's how they visually present themselves, like how they call themselves. Like, it's a more queer way of game making, and I just wish it was in art as well, so badly, so desperately.
Yeah, I love that about games, that like you can have a childhood game that you like changed your life, and then suddenly there's a, you know, like for example Resident Evil.
Yeah.
Resident Evil 4 is one of my all-time favorite games in my whole entire life. I played that game on the Wii non-stop. And so when I heard there was going to be like a remaster of the entire series, and they redid 2, they redid 3, and they're redoing 4, like for me, it's like it's not only nostalgia, but it's also like, how does the present reflect that game? And how does the present reflect all the choices made within that environment? And like, it would be so interesting now to see, like, if Basquiat was still alive, how would Basquiat remaster his series of works, you know? How would he look at that and say, okay, I want to look at this work and redo it? I love that idea that gaming allows, in the fact that it says we want to make sure we represent the audience now, not just then.
Yeah. And that the way you've just phrased that, like, it's about representing the audience and not necessarily just the game maker and like their vision. It's more holistic, I think, and it's just more sensitive overall.
Yeah, and also knowing that like things, like something I don't like about archives is that you archive things and then they're like, it's done, all right, let's chuck it away now, we're finished. And I love the idea of like being like, let's go to the same people we archived and see if what we did was a good enough job or not.
Yeah.
And also some people in the archives, in my archives that I've made, have passed away, and so I'm like, I want to revisit that and try and do a better job, you know, at archiving them and making sure that I actually do really look into like what I can keep about their lives within these works. Yeah.
That's really important. I think what you're doing is I think it's really important, and I'm glad to hear that that's a route you want to go. What are you working on now? What's coming next?
Oh God. So I'm trying to build this game. I have no idea how I'm building it. No idea. This is why I'm saying, oh God. I'm in the like very much pre-design phases, but I'm basically trying to make a work that requires no controller to play, and that will completely, like, your presence within the space, just stepping in there, will change the work forever. And so a work that self-archives, but also you being passive, it doesn't work. You can't be passive in the work. Even if you're just standing there, the work will change based on who you are.
Yeah, even if you're present, it changes, yeah.
So, like, that's what I'm trying. No idea how to do it. I was thinking of tracking eyes, I was thinking of tracking heat, tracking bodies, surveillance technologies, all this kind of stuff. I don't know. But to me, I'm tired of watching people watch people play the game, if that makes sense. And so usually when I go to see these shows, I'm like, damn it, like someone's watching someone play the game, and I say, did you play the game? And they say no, and I say, why not? And they say, oh, I was too anxious, I just watched someone else. And I'm like, well, I want to remove that like choice of being able just to watch someone and vicariously live through them, and instead say like, just your presence in some spaces changes everything. And just people seeing you be there really affects certain people in a certain way. And like, you got to be careful about what you do and how you do things.
Yeah. It's like the question of like threshold psychology, isn't it? Like, what stops people from going over the threshold? What stops people from playing the game? But you're just like taking the inside and the outside away completely. You're just there won't be a threshold to cross, because it'll just be sort of imminent. Is that right?
Yeah, like it would just be. I want to make these things feel a bit more natural.
Yeah.
And feel a bit more like how you walk around the space, and then suddenly you look at the work, and your face is part of the work. You know?
Yeah.
I see that. And someone else, like, now the main character is you, and it's beating someone up on the floor, and you're like, that's me doing that. How did that happen? When did this happen? Why did this happen? You know, what did I do? You know, why me? Like, I want those questions asked rather than sometimes I get people just sitting on the side crossing their arms and kind of judging other people's choices, or just judging just the visuals or just certain aspects of the work, rather than actually like have placing themselves within it.
Yeah, I see that. I can't wait to see how you like solve the problem.
I have no idea. That's my problem. No idea. Like we've been working on stuff. That's my favorite
thing about like speaking to artists about what they're doing next, because it always sounds like just like this impossible thing, and then they always figure it out. And I'm like, I just don't even know how you all do it.
I pray. Someone shot at me. Oh. No! Leave them alone. Where are you?
Where are they?
Oh, there they are.
I think is it one person on their own?
Yeah, they got like a nice shield.
I think we can take this person on. Or maybe not. Let's go get him. We can
really?
do this. Yeah, we can do this. He's just on his own. I'm sure.
You go get him. I'll distract him from up here.
I don't know where he's gone. Is he still up at the top?
Go up. I'm almost dead.
Okay, I'm coming. I was trying to go up the back, but it just was not happening.
Oh, you're getting shot. You got him?
Got some... okay. Yeah, I've got him. He had a resurrection shield, which is cool. Sugar. Oh no, shit! I'm gonna die. No! I'm too far. I'm too far from the ring. I'm coming. 1 second.
Oh yeah, come. I can save you.
Oh no, I'm gonna die. I'm too far away from the ring.
How do I help you?
You just need to go in the ring. Go back to the game. Go back to the game. Quick. Heal up. Do your health drone. There we go.
And I gotta get to that beacon to resurrect you, right?
Yeah.
God, now this is a lonely trip.
You can do it. I believe in you.
Oh my God. Jesus. I really hope I can. This is the tensest moment I've had. Everything relies on me. And I haven't killed a fucking single soul.
We had a very calm game. We landed where no one else was, so we could just take our time, have a chat.
Wait, where do I...
You need to go up the zip line, I think, behind you.
Oh, you can see me?
But I think there might be people... Yeah, I can see you. I'm watching your screen. But I think there might be people up there. So just get ready.
Oh.
Do the next zip line. And then run left. Go. Back to that green thing, where the green light is. As fast as you can.
Ah!
Oh, no! You screamed!
Fuck, sorry.
it's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
Oh my god. I got completely scared shitless there.
That happens though, you know. Like sometimes because of like you've had such a calm game so far, and then as soon as someone shoots at you, you just get rattled by it. It's really funny. You were about to say something about the work that you are making next, I think.
Yeah, I guess like the work I'm building a bunch of games, but like the work I'm most excited is that one with no controller or anything. But I'm also building, oh gosh, a dating game. But it's like, imagine a dating game crossed with Five Nights at Freddy's.
Oh, I can't wait.
But you're sitting in the actual room. So you all sit in the room, and there'll be like a screen to your left, to your forward, and to your right. And each will have a profile on them, and then you have to select the profile. And they each have a level of danger, so like 10, 20, 30%. Mm-hmm. And the aim is to end up with a date that doesn't kill you, or survive long enough and know when to get out of the relationship.
See, that's not an option I've not really seen in That's not an option I've seen in dating games.
Right, it's like a red flag counter almost. It's like recognizing red flags. But like, you know, they're gonna be like subtle, but they'll be there. And so sometimes it'll be too late to leave because you've gone through all the red flags and you realize, just similar to Five Nights at Freddy, when you can't close the door anymore and you think you're still safe, but you're not because you've already made the mistake. It's gonna be like this.
Again, you and your impossible decisions for people.
I know. I'm quite excited though. It's gonna be quite fun. It's like a fun one, but it's based on like all my friends' dating experiences and trying to date while trans, and it just literally being a minefield out there, like it being a nightmare. Like it's a minefield in general. It's a minefield in general, and then when you say you're trans, it's it's just like Jesus Christ. It's ridiculous. Another level. It's just like, I don't know if it's enough. I don't know what the levels are. I just know it's like often people's front-facing faces. I mean, this is just kind of generally actually just aren't real, you know, and what their actual intentions are much more sinister. And like it's best to avoid a lot of these situations, but it's hard to know when the situation is coming up.
I get that. And then this game will be a way to kind of just lay it all out.
Yeah, it's kind of archiving those talks. Like it'll be based on like real conversations that we've had, but at the same time, just like having a bit of fun with it. Because like, I feel like I want more trans horror games, like just way more trans horror games, like 10,000 more. But I also just want a bit of fun. Like I feel like often when we talk about like dating and like creepy guys, it's like so rough. It's so hard, and like sometimes we don't get to have these conversations where like it's taking into account those things, but also not like centering the most tragic things that happen.
I get you. Yeah. Wow.
Difficult.
You'll be the one to do it, and it'll be. I can't wait. You've got so many plans.
I know. Oh.
You can do it. Well, I think that was a very nice future-looking way to end this glorious chat. Thank you for speaking to me. This has been great.
No, thank you so much. This was amazing.
And thanks to anyone for listening. If you've absolutely loved watching us play Apex Legends, this game is free, so I just recommend everyone download it. Where can people find you on social media?
You can find me at LadyDanGFUA on Instagram, and that's all I'm on.
Oh, fab. And then my handle is at the white pube on stuff, and then my own Twitter is at GDLP __. When does the When does the show at Arbeit close? When's it open till?
It ends on 19th of February. Of course, I always remember the date and I can never forget it. So yeah, 19th of February is when it ends.
Fab. So if you are watching this, go and check it out. It's in London. Thank you for watching. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye.